Here it is. It's 4:50 a.m. Got all my stuff here ready. About to take a 3.5 hour drive to do my first comic book show. So you gotta love it. You gotta love comics. Here I am. I got my table all set up behind me, and I'm ready for my first show. See how this goes, and I hope I get to see some of you here. Here I am about to walk into the room here. This is the first ever Catamount Comics and Collectibles Expo in Burlington, Vermont, and let's show you what it looks like. So the show is being held here at the University of Vermont in Burlington. See, it's a small venue, but it's really nice, very airy and bright. A lot of creators with their creator-owned books, and a lot of fans coming around. Oh, and here's a friend of the Crime Buster, Seth. Say hello, Seth.
Hi. Who's watching your comics?
So for the show here, I did this handout with a little one-page mystery for people to solve by going around to the different booths and learning about the other creators. I've been seeing a lot of people walking around with them, but so far no one's actually solved the mystery. I think I might have made it a little too hard. If anyone managed to solve it, I've got a bunch of swag I'm going to give them. I've got the Crime Busters postcard, a set of stickers, and the Junior Crime Buster badge. But at this point, I don't know. I'm not sure anyone's going to solve it. If someone managed to do it, I might just give them a copy of the comic for free. Well, here's the results. I had one person try and fill this out and not succeed. One guest didn't show up, and a couple other guests didn't promote what they had previously been advertising, and one table changed their name. So let's just say this is a much better idea in theory than it actually turned out to be in practice. But I think I'm gonna try it again at the next show. Just make some tweaks to make it a little bit easier, and so I'm sorry to everyone in Vermont that had their maple syrup stolen. It looks like we're not going to get to the bottom of this one. The show's winding down, but I did make a number of trades, a time-honored tradition with indie creators to trade books with each other, so let's take a look at my haul for today. Okay, I found a quieter place to go over these books. So the first book I got in trade is Juvenile Diversion. This is by Heather and Dean Farrington. It's set in the late 80s, and it's about some high school students that play music and, do student stuff. I also got the first issue of The Adventures of El Diablo Azul. This is by Mike Wagner. El Diablo Azul is sort of like a luchador, private investigator sort of mashup. Mike Wagner also does work on Nerd Nation. This is Beetle Girl, which is like a continuation of the public domain Blue Beetle character. So she's like a legacy character carrying on the name. This is an anthology, so it's got stories by a bunch of different creators in it. I also got Goshawks. This is by Michelle Abreu. You can find her work online, and she was my table mate at the show, and she has a bunch of cool books. This one is sort of inspired by anime and manga. So there's a lot of cool action sequences and stuff in it. And then last but definitely not least, it's Space Boy Goes to American Ninja Warrior. This is by Jasper and Alex. One of those, I'm not actually sure which one, they're both kids, I don't know, about 8, and he was carrying around a folder with a bunch of issues of Space Boy, this comic that they made. And he asked if I'd trade an issue of Crime Busters. Of course I did, and it's fantastic. It's about Space Boy. You can see he was just chilling when he got a call and they asked him to go to American Ninja Warrior. And there's a lot of detailed explanation of how American Ninja Warrior works. And there's also a backup story with a big battle against a robot. So, unfortunately, of course, being 8, Jasper and Alex don't have any kind of web presence. So I can't really tell you how to get a hold of copies of Space Boy Goes to American Ninja Warrior or any of the other Space Boy comics, but if you happen to be in Vermont, keep your eyes peeled. You might have a chance at a very rare and awesome collectible. I also wanted to show off this mini comic that I got. It's Gatito, the tiny velociraptor. Again, this is from Michelle Abreu, and you can see her Twitter and Instagram information here on the back. She does a lot of cool stuff. She also designs and creates her own dice bags. So if you're into tabletop gaming, and she makes her own dice and does a lot of cool crafty things related to D&D. And the other thing I bought one back issue at the show, and that's this copy of Girls Love Stories 77. This is a early 60s DC romance. You can see this still 10 cent. This is when they still had the National Romance Group logo. And this looks to me from the cover to be art by the great John Romita. Before he took over drawing Spider-Man from Steve Ditko, he spent a number of years doing romance stories for DC, and these romance comics are filled with just some amazing artwork by a lot of the best artists to ever work in comics. Just some beautiful, beautiful art in the DC line. The stories at DC are mostly pretty boring until you get to the late 60s. If you want some exciting romance stories, you should really be reading stuff from Charlton or ACG, but you can't beat the art in these DC romance books. So that's my haul from the show.